This is a 1-star review of a clinic. It says, terrible, of an emergency clinic. Terrible, I waited over 3 hours in the car with my dog, who I not voided in 24 hours, to be told the euthanasia took precedence over my ill canine. I was then told it would be another hour or so because a patient that took a turn for the worse. But watched owners with their pets come and go with an hour drive to this location, even calling ahead to ensure this was the right measure for me to take, bringing her to an urgent care. I was told I would be able to have my dog seen at around 1 a.m. I arrived 35 minutes early, filled out the necessary paper, and still left with an ill, untreated dog. Disgusted does not even cover it. I will never utilize or recommend this clinic. That was rough.
Stroke.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyway,
it's an emergency clinic.
Yeah, it's an emergency clinic. Like, if you're not being brought right back,
that's a good thing.
We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
You're bringing your animal because we know and you don't.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not being brought right back, that's a good thing. Like, I know it sucks to wait, but...
Can we just talk about how she's like, oh, euthanasia took precedence over that?
Sorry, it kind of always does. Like,
because if you're bringing your dog to an emergency clinic for euthanasia, that's because they need...
It's emergency euthanasia!
It's emergency euthanasia. Like, they are really sick. Like,
they're usually actively dying.
Yeah, if they're not actively dying or they're not, like, urgently sick... then you usually, like, go to your primary care, who you have a relationship with, because that's, like, a much...
Yeah.
I mean, you have a relationship with that person. It feels better.
It's usually not, like... This place does, like, a great job of making it not feel rushed, I feel like. But, like, I feel like...
we let them sit with their owners for as long as they want.
Yeah, but I feel like maybe there are clinics out there that try to do it as quick as possible, you know, to get to move on. So, like, you would want to go to a primary care if you're able to.
Yeah, so it's an emergency clinic.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. I mean, if you're...
It's like if you went to an
emergency clinic or emergency room,
you don't want to be seen before.
You don't want to be seen before everybody else. Yeah. I mean, I've been that person waiting for hours in the emergency room, and it sucks, but like you're not the priority, and you don't want to be. You don't want to be
dying, so it's okay.
Yeah, and then she said she saw people leave, but like. You have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, like, sometimes it could just be, like...
You have no idea how long they've been there.
Yeah, like, and, like, if you see them come and go, maybe their animal, like, ingested, like, a bunch of pills and they just had to get them to vomit.
Yeah.
Or else it would have been really toxic and it could have, like, messed up their liver.
Right, or maybe they've been there for hours.
Yeah.
And they're able to leave.
Or maybe they just elected to...
go home, which apparently this person did.
Yeah.
There was... this TikTok that I saw, I can't open it up, but this girl basically said that this licensed nurse was working a 12-hour shift at an ER, and she came out and a client had slashed her tires.
That'd be my 13th reason.
Like, she was, like, saying, like, she's like, I just got off a crazy 12-hour shift that sucked, and found out that this client that made it suck even worse, and slashed my tires.
What do you even do at that point?
What is it? That doesn't accomplish anything. Like what? Like, why?
I'm just more impressed that this client, like, had to like, almost stalk her. They had no, like, what car
she went out on her lunch break, she went into this car, she slept for this long and everything. I have a knife. How did he slash it? What did he use? That's what I want to know.
I say good job.
I said... I deserved it at that point.
Yeah, you are the victim.
Yes.
And I'm wrong.
I hurt you.
Good job. And then this one says, it's in another Facebook one, because, you know, Facebook loves to complain. To whoever had concerns for our dogs, thank you, but they were just excited for Taco Monday. They had the windows rolled on in a water dish on the ground, and we were in there for 10 to 15 minutes. They also love car rides, and dogs pant even if they're cold. It's a picture of dogs in a hot car, and the high for that day was 82 degrees. The windows are rolled down just enough for their face to get out.
Okay, dogs shouldn't eat tacos. Let's start there.
Let's make that clear.
Don't feed your dogs tacos. Anyway.
10 to 15 minutes in an 82-degree car.
Heat stroke.
Yes, that can accelerate the temperatures to over 100 degrees. It can be an oven in there. Yes. Yeah, these are big-ass dogs.
And panting, like, Dogs
it's thermoregulation.
Yeah, or they'll either, it's for thermoregulating, or, like, they're stressed, so they're panting.
Which, being stressed in that heat is... Yeah. Makes it so much worse.
Dogs are and there's 2 dogs in there. They're like...
I can't tell what they are. Are they pitties?
They look
pitty-ish.
Yeah.
Well, at least they have proper airways. Yeah. I was gonna say if it was a boxer.
Brace for like dog.
Yeah, I say please God. No.
Didn't you call... Say it. Why?
It's wild. I don't know if I've told you this before. I was gonna tell the story at my sister's wedding, but then she yelled at me and told me no. It was a little inappropriate. Okay, so when I was working at this outdoor location on like a 90-degree day, it was at like a market. When I was, I think it was like 12 or something.
You were working? Child labor.
Child labor.
Gotta prepare for the future when I make no money.
Make no money.
Yeah, that's true. She's saving up now.
For real. Me and my sister were walking by this car, and there was a husky puppy in it, and the windows were cracked like barely like this much, and again, it was like really hot. I was sweating my ass off. It was so fucking hot out. And we walked by, and I said, "That's not right." And my sister said, "Let's go. Come on. Let's just keep walking." I said, "Okay." Walked by. 15 minutes later, this dog's still in there, panting. There's no water, nothing. So, like, we wait around. We ask people, like, whose car is this? Like, what is going on? And nobody knows. And they were like, "Yeah, it's been there for, like, 30 minutes. And we're like, "Okay, that's not okay." So, we turned in and unlocked the door, and we grabbed the dog.
Oh my gosh!
And we take
Was
her
it
over.
your car? Because she's like, you have a child on.
Yes. And we go over to, the area we were working, and we give him lots of water. He was so dehydrated. And we feed him. He was so hungry. It was so sad. And then the lady, like, ended up coming by. She was probably, like, a college student or something. And she was freaking out, asking, like, where her dog was. And I gave her a piece of my mind, and I said, "You can't do that. Like, your dog could have died."
Oh.
And I gave it back, and I said, "You got to promise not to do it again." She said, "I promise." And I said, "Okay." And I gave her dog. And I said, "I was going to give it to you no matter what. I just wanted to, like, because we were right next to her, like, her car.
Mm.
I just wanted to give him some water and put him in the shade, because that boy was hot."
It's a husky.
It was a husky on, like, a 90-degree day. He could have died.
Have you ever seen
Anyway, that was it.
those kind of dogs?
I actually haven't.
Really?
Mm-mm. Like, have I ever seen a dog locked in a car?
Have you ever seen a dog in general? No, I'm just kidding.
Like, come on. Do you know what they look like? A husky is fluffy.
Well, she's seen a dog on the side of the road.
Oh, yeah, this is true.
Not dead.
Not dead. No, I've never actually seen a dog that was locked inside of a car.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen it at this place too, but people were already like standing around, and she's like, "I'm gonna go inside." So I'm like, "Okay, she's got that handled." So I left. Yeah, this place sucks for that.
It does.
Yeah. Let's see, and then this is just kind of along the same lines of people being silly bitches. Thoughts on vets quitting because clients are rude. Okay, so it seems the animal hospital I bring my dog to has taken a turn for the worst within the last year. This one I think is actually okay. They went from 5 veterinarians down to 1 veterinarian over the course of 6 to 8 months. My dog has had an injury in his mouth, but I noticed that every time I called this clinic, I would receive a message saying that they're closed. I finally just left a voicemail and received a call back later that day. The receptionist, informed me that due to being understaffed, they are leaving the message machine on and telling the clients that they are closed and to leave a message, and then it seems they are choosing who to give calls back to. She then went to say that there's a shortage due to the amount of disrespectful and rude clients that are making the vet techs resign. She then proceeded to tell me that the veterinarians have one of the highest suicide rates in America. Before she told me about the suicide rate, my initial thought my initial reaction felt offended, almost as if she was telling me that my dog is suffering because other people's feelings are hurt. But after saying the suicide rate, it seems that there is something much larger happening here, so I seek clarity and to better understand all of this. I couldn't believe that what I was hearing. I always knew that there was corruption in the rate of pay, but to hear that the 4 vets quit due to feeling disrespected by clients was shocking. Plus, to think that they're only being called back that they only called me back because I was polite on the phone. Imagine if someone was seriously wrong with their dog and you were upset on the phone, but no one called you back because you were rude. I can understand the burnout, though. What are your thoughts? Is this typical for all clinics or just mine? I initially thought that a lot of jobs involve dealing with disrespectful people, but you become a vet to help animals and shouldn't take that personally. On the other hand, I know that there is a shortage everywhere, even with doctors, and it makes me terrified for our future. Is humanity really this terrible? How can anyone feel safe and comfortable having children or pets in this kind of environment? This is just encouraging kind people in this world to lose hope and duck and cover rather than try to fix things.
They could go to another clinic.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Like, if something is seriously wrong with their animal,
right,
there are hundreds of clinics everywhere.
Yeah.
There are that do have staff and that are open 24/7. We are open 24/7. Like,
let's just theoretically say that this is one of those BFE places. There's, like, no one else around. Like, they're in the middle of nowhere, like, up north.
oh.
You know, like,
Yeah.
let's say there's no other veterinarians around.
Yeah, okay.
They're the only one within an hour or two.
I mean,
We've had people drive multiple states.
Well, that's different. But it's not a primary care.
I mean,
This is primary care. Just trying to get your dog in for, like, a limp.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I get where it's frustrating. I do. But, like...
It's more just like, yeah, people, like...
I appreciate that this person actually...
reaches for an understanding.
Yeah, and, like, took what they said to heart. Like, they weren't just like, oh, they're just making excuses. Oh, like, boo-hoo. They actually have tried to look into it and are trying to understand it and are like, okay, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that the pay wasn't great, but, like, is this how it is everywhere, or is this just what's going on in my clinic? Like, I want to know.
I feel like a lot of people don't realize how bad things are, because, like, there's probably, like, a lot of other professions that are really bad, too, and we just don't know because we're not in them.
Right.
So I feel like that's where they're coming from, because whenever, like, vets and nurses, like, go into a room, they, and, like, interact with the client, they always try and, like, be, like, the happiest they can, and, like, put on a smile to, like, make them feel comfortable, and build, like, that client relationship and everything. So I feel like it's just not super obvious because we don't make it super obvious.
Yeah.
That's crazy how many people are quitting.
That's in that amount of time. That's
really
crazy.
Big turnover.
And that's...
Like, what was going on?
I know.
What
like,
client drove them to being like, I'm either going to kill myself or I have to leave the profession?
The tire slasher.
Yes, exactly.
They said I replaced my tires 4 times in the last week. I can't.
Like, that's wild. Like, that's compassion fatigue at the highest. They said they have to... They will literally have to leave what they love doing.
Right.
Otherwise...
What they're, I mean...
Literally.
That's so passionate about because...
Of people.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know if there's something, like, going on in the clinic, too, because, like, one of, like, the big things that keeps me at, like, places is the people that I work with, and how understanding, like, how we, like, help each other and we keep each other up and
that's true.
Support each other a lot.
So if, like, their, like, owner of the clinic was doing nothing to help, like, the situations, like, do you guys ever fire clients?
Yes. In extreme situations, we do.
Yeah, we, like, at the GP, they just started firing people, like, during COVID, like, when we were overloaded. If they were, like, assholes, they would get, like, a couple chances, because, you know, people can, like, apologize, it's a bad day, whatever. But if they were, like, overly, like, abusive to staff, even, like, if they were abusive to staff, like, once, they would have gone.
I mean, they do that in restaurants, like, you get banned from a restaurant.
Never.
I mean,
Chili's and Pam, let's be real. Get you drunk.
It's kind of crazy, and I've never actually thought about this before. Like, we talk about how when you go to an emergency room as, like, a human, like, you have to wait. But also, a lot of times your primary care you have to wait. Like, if you haven't seen your primary care in like a year and you have not like an like emergent thing, you can have to wait like a month sometimes.
Yeah.
Like to get into a doctor, to get into see a specialist. Like I've seen a lot of specialists in my life. Like you have to wait months.
Yeah.
Even if you're in excruciating pain, which I have been.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand how people don't
see it.
I do.
And I wouldn't change it for any other career.
I do. I am afraid at some point, though.
I was afraid. I was petrified. Sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I am afraid at some point I might reach that compassion fatigue. And I'm only 2 years in my career.
Yeah. It'll like come in waves. I feel like.
Yeah.
We'll help you. Here's Sweet Pie Angel.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. We got each other. Hello.
Along this line, during COVID, what?
I don't know. I know it's gonna be funny though.
During COVID, we were doing like just strictly curbside, I think, at the time, or like I think it was like if someone could come in but only for like a euthanasia, like that kind of thing. I think it was like the peak of COVID, and we told this woman that like I think we had like a bunch actually like an emergency come in that day, which for a general practice like they don't really do that. So like a lot of the appointments were kind of like behind and stuff, and a lot of them were being like super understanding, like, yeah, we get it, whatever. And this one woman, it was like 10 minutes behind, like her appointment started, like it was like not even like an hour or anything. And she called and was complaining, and so like 5 minutes later, like I took the appointment and started to get the history, and she was being a major inappropriate word. Yeah. And I was like just explaining, like, we had like an emergency come in, like, I apologize, like, we're here now, like, we can help you, blah, blah, blah. And she's just being so rude. And then eventually I went out and she's like, I could have just rescheduled the appointment. I'm like, it's only 15, okay. But we went out to the car to get the dog, and the turning point for her was when I had to use our own leash to bring the dog into the clinic. She was first frustrated that she couldn't come into the clinic. She said that was fucking bullshit. And she, I went to get the leash, put it around the dog, and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're using our own leash. And she flipped out. I've never seen anyone, slip lead. I've never seen anyone, like, flip their shit. She literally said, are you fucking kidding me? And was, like, shaking the car and, like, beating on her steering wheel. And I was like, it's not.
Do you not like the color?
I'm like, bestie, it's not that deep.
It's a leash.
I'm like,
a lot of people hate the slip leash.
They do, but they're like, a lot safer.
They get offended.
I was like, it wasn't. I was just like, it blew my mind. And then I told my vet, and she's like, oh, she's like a long-standing client, and she's nice to me. I'm like, that's crazy, but like, she like just cussed me out. She basically said, fuck you to me. Over a leash.
She said, fuck you, kill yourself,
and
burn your leash.
And I hated her the rest of the time, because she never apologized, ever, and she still saw the doctor, like, and did all that, and the doctor was like, yeah, but she's, like, whatever, and I was like, why are you making excuses? So it was, like, things like that I was getting at, like, the compassion fatigue, like, I feel like a lot of times, like, vets will make excuses for, like, the clients, even, like, just because they have a relationship with them, rather than just saying, oh, you know, that was really shitty.
That wasn't okay.
What they did, and I think I might want to talk to them so that we can still have them come here. But no, I never got an apology out of her. No one seemed to give a fuck. I'm like, okay, she almost spit in my face, but cool. I'm not kidding.
That's fucking terrible.
I think about that a lot. She shook that car.
What kind of car was it?
It was like a little Focus thing. She shook it.
That's ridiculous. Over a leash. That was just the last straw.
That was
my leash not good enough for you?
No one gave a fuck.
You gonna choke my dog?
What can you do?
And that's what?
You gonna choke my dog with that leash?
Yeah. And then I think right after that, Yeah, something happened right after that too. Someone, like, I had the next appointment, so I was like frazzled about that. I said, "What the fuck?" So I was all pissy and shit.
Yeah.
And then the next one I think was like someone was just pissed that they couldn't come in the clinic, and they were swearing at me again, and I was like, I think that was I went back in and cried. That was like the only time I cried at that clinic.
Oh my god.
I was like, what the fuck?
So what did I do?
So I was just saying, like, compassion comes and goes.
Yeah, it does.
Where are you at now?
I'm fine. We don't talk to people.
You're compassionate.
Yeah.
I'm fatigued.
But not from compassion?
No.
You said, I'm just tired.
I'm in the middle. I don't know if I'm going down or up.
Same. That's kind of where I'm at.
We'll find out.
I feel like we just like have good time, so it helps though.
Yeah,
exactly.
it does. It helps to have fun
Friends.
and have friends.
Yeah.
That was sad yesterday though, like when we had to go into isolation. Did you tell about that? We had to go
The
into
puppies, yeah.
No, not that one.
The cat?
Yeah. We had to go into isolation with a cat.
I blocked that one out.
Yeah. That was really sad.
That was
And it was like a respiratory cat. I don't even, it was probably older. It looked old. It had like really bad nasal discharge and eye discharge and everything. And it was like, you know, and I couldn't breathe in well at all. And we had to place the catheter and
the skin was terrible. It felt just like mush and like really old cat skin. And I tried placing like the first catheter. It was a 22. So like it wasn't even a big catheter because I saw that like his vessels were shit. And I just felt bad because, like, I explained it beforehand, like, what I was doing, and that was just placing a catheter and flushing and everything, and that the doctor would be in with, like, the Pento and propofol to euthanize. And, the cat kept, like, screaming.
Like, yeah.
It was like, it's the saddest sound when cats do that.
And it was like it couldn't
really
breathe
sad.
because it was, like, screaming. It was
Yeah.
like,
And then,
yeah.
and
just, like, trying to extend its neck because it couldn't breathe, but it was, like, screaming.
And then I would get, like, the catheter in, and then he'd, like, start freaking out and, like, trying to die, and then, like, he'd, like, and the catheter would, like, get pulled out. And I'm like, I didn't even hit the vessel. I literally just got into the skin, and the owner was there, and it was really sad.
Yeah,
she was crying.
That's really sad.
And, like, you could tell she really loved the cat, so that was sad.
Really sad.
And, like, eventually, like, I did get a catheter in it, but it was just, like, the saddest thing ever. Because she asked if it would hurt, and I said, like, no, like, I'm just, like, it's just, like, a quick, like, poke and everything. It's, like, us getting poked. And, usually, like, they react to it because they're scared and everything, but I don't think it, like, prepared her enough to see her cat.
It's not that. It's just, they're so emotional in that time.
Yeah.
You know?
I would be.
Which, yeah, I was gonna say, like, understandably so.
Yeah.
I've never had to go through that specifically, so I can't say, like, for certain, like, what it feels like, but I can imagine.
Yeah.
And then there was 2 parvo puppies.
Yeah.
Were they there?
One got euthanized.
One got euthanized today.
The brindle. Is the other one doing good?
The other one's in there. She's in there howling.
She was climbing
after
a cage.
After her breakfast, she got really upset because her nurse left her.
Who was? Oh no, one of you?
No.
No. Okay.
But her nurse left her, and then, she was just like howling. She was like, "Ow."
She's a sweet baby angel.
Yeah.
She said, "Give me attention. Give me more food."
She tried to chew on her catheter immediately after.
Of course she did.
And
She's
then,
a bad girl.
And then we put her catheter guard on, and then she was just trying to gnaw at that. I thought she was gonna get it off, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
The other one went into oxygen last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was sad.
How does that How do those cases? Do you feel like you just like try to cope with humor?
Every day. Like for like
I
the
feel
really
like in
sad
general.
ones like that.
Do you what?
Like the really sad ones like that,
Yeah.
or isolation cases.
Yeah, sad ones in general.
Oh yeah. I just laugh about everything, and then I am
Go
by
home and
myself and I
cry.
say, I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
And I say, but I gotta do it.
Yeah.
I've cried quite a few times at work because
Yeah.
of cases.
But then it's happy when you see the stuff like a tetanus patient that goes home.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Like
I mean,
those
you just
times.
like you get attached, and then you like if you work so hard with a patient and like you get attached, you see their owners come visit, they like seem like they're doing better, and then like they just go downhill, and then I mean, we all have those times when you have to step away.
Or, like, the ones where, like, they're doing really good and they're gonna go home and then they throw a clot and then they go...
Yeah.
And then you just cry.
And then you just cry.
That's a fun time.
I just had a discussion with somebody the other day about how important it is to sometimes just cry.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If
and
you
how...
It's just gonna build up.
A nurse?
Yeah. And how, like, we all understand it. And we've all been there. And, I mean, I've had to step away from a code, force myself to cry a little bit, and then jump back in the code, and then say...
When you were new?
No.
Oh.
I mean, after I've been there for, like, a year, it was just, like, a patient that I was, like, really attached to, and then I started crying, like, during the code, and somebody just, like, step away, and I stepped away, and then I came back, and they're like, you... And I was like, no, I actually need to be here.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be a part of this.
To help.
Yeah, you need to see it through to the end.
Yeah.
Too. Like, I know, like, we talked about, like, owners need that closure, but I feel like we need that closure, too, because of how attached that we get.
Yeah.
There's one time I got an asthma attack because I was crying so much. Oh, well. How silly is that?
But, I mean, it just shows how much we care. Like,
yeah.
We truly let it, like, it affects us. And, like, yeah, we joke around a lot in emergency medicine. I mean, that's the type of people we are. But, like, I mean, humor is...
It's a huge coping mechanism.
It's a huge coping mechanism. And it's the way that we bond with each other and the way that we get through the day. But there's also just days that you need to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And...
Do you hear the cats out there?
Days that you need to all cry together.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had it before where we're all crying in the code.
Really? Usually when other nurses start crying, I'll start crying. Or, like, certain doctors
There are
like,
certain
I'm really
nurses.
To, I will
There are
cry
certain
with them.
nurses that if I see them cry, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.